welcome to another edition of South Texas Crossfire. This is Attorney Joe Flores reminding you to join us each and every week right here on KTMV with the Lopez family. Special thanks to Don Humberto Lozano Lopez. He passed away in 2011, but he's honored, he's venerated, and he's never forgotten. He was a great man. And Carlos Lopez, you guessed it, the Ted Turner of South Texas Broadcasting, and primetime his brother Ernest Lopez, who makes it happen. And thanks to Tony, who puts on my shows day in, day out. And let's not forget Diamond Dave Mendez, who has made filming possible for this and even makes me look about 10 pounds lighter. I want to thank him for that. Okay, so all joking aside, we're here on a very serious matter. It's voting time. Ladies and gentlemen out there, I want you to go out there and vote. If you can't vote, and maybe you've had a little bit of trouble in the past and you can't vote, get 10 people to vote. If you know of some elderly person that wants to drive to vote but can't anymore, take them to go vote. Get everybody involved. With that being said, I have a young man who's running for office, and I always like to see young blood enter the Democratic Party, a new face, a new age, a new era. And with that being said, I bring on somebody who brings on this rich tapestry of public service, who brings on a family that's done nothing but devote themselves to the public. And I want you all, when you pull that lever, to remember the name Balderas. And none other than good old Randy Balderas is here with us today. Randy, thanks for being here.
Hey, thank you for having me, Joe.
Well, Randy, I should be calling you Judge. It's coming up here pretty soon. We go way back, I know that your service with law enforcement is just the beginning. But let's talk about you growing up and your family. Tell me a little bit about your mom and your dad and growing up in a law enforcement family.
Oh, yeah. It's growing up with them, my mom, my dad. I mean, fortunately, she passed on back in 2009.
I'm so sorry. She's a great woman.
Oh, very great. Loving woman. And then also my father, loving person. They both together were both loving. They both helped me. They both molded me to be the person of who I am today.
That motivation that you're talking about, I've talked to your dad. In fact, I saw that exciting race where he went against Eric Cantu.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? Eric Cantu, It's Not About You sort of campaign. Oh. And it was bloody. It was a bloody battle, and your dad came out on top. He was victorious. And I remember that people said they voted for the right reason, that your father had been up there for a long time, and it was a dirty campaign that was not of his choosing. He responded back to, and in all due respect to Jeff Butler, who ran Eric Cantu's campaign, I'll never forget that. That was a history-making campaign. With 2 weeks left, your father came back and rose from the ashes. They were trying to associate him with some guy that had some background that was bad, and just because he gave him money, and he'd given many candidates money, they try to put him in the same blanket and the same sheet of music, and it just didn't stick. This time you're running on your own merits. Your dad must be frustrated because as a sitting judge, he can't endorse you.
Oh, no, he can't. By ethics law, he cannot endorse you.
Right. Let's talk about when you're out there block walking, they want, what kind of judge they want for Precinct 1, Place 3 out there?
You know what? From what I've been hearing, the response is they want it status quo. What's been going on with the current judge, which is my father, what he's been doing for the office is perfect. Everybody loves what he's doing for the office, what he's doing for the community, and the service that he's doing in his courtroom. They want me to continue that and to serve the bench the way he has served it.
Well, let me ask you this. Now, if you were, of course, to be victorious here, there's nobody in November.
Oh, no. Nope.
Okay, so after that, what would happen? Your dad would retire, or?
Yes, my dad will step down on January 1st. will be his last day, or December 31st will be
Okay,
his
and
last
let me
day.
ask the hard questions here, because people will say, well, wait a minute, it's just like George Bush 1 and George Bush 2, George Walker Bush, and they'd say, well, isn't there something wrong with, a family, it was like almost they say like it's a dynasty, like passing the torch from father to son. Shouldn't somebody else be the one that runs? How do you respond to people if they say things like that?
Joe, I mean, some people do say that, but if you have the qualifications, if you have the experience and the knowledge of the judicial system, why not run for it? If you
Right.
know it, do it. And I know it. I know the way the system works. I know the way the judicial system works, and I have the qualifications and the experience to run this office.
Well, let's talk about the qualifications. Look, I've been a lawyer for 17 years. Praise God. I've been in court where you have functioned maintaining order in a court. Tell me about all the experience and all the judges you've worked with out on the street as a law enforcement guy. Tell me your experiences and why you know the system better than your opponent who is running for the same seat.
You see, back when I started in 2004 working as a correction officer with the sheriff department, one of the job details is, to provide security for the courts, the county and the district courts and all the courts in the courthouse. And that's what I did. When on overtime or even when they needed one of the bailiffs called in sick, I would handle it. They'll call me, hey, you know how the way the system works, let's go fill in this courtroom so there can be some court security in there. In 2009, I decided to be a bailiff full-time under the Honorable Judge Terry Shamsey, County Court at Law number 5.
Oh, well, and in County Court at Law number 5, that was the juvenile justice. That was Justice Center. That's no piece of cake. I mean, tell us a little bit about that experience.
You see, that court dealt predominantly with juveniles, CPS courts, and when the Justice of the Peace had an appeal, it goes straight to County Court at Law number 5. So I was there and heard the cases as a bailiff along, just what the court, whatever the case came in front of the judge, I would hear it.
So you see and handle and pass over the files. You see the court procedure. So you feel comfortable in the courtroom.
Correct. I know the way the docket is, the procedures and the policies of how the way the court system runs.
Now, your opponent has not reached out to us for comment. Your opponent has not come out on our television show. Your opponent could care less about my show, and well, that's her issue. That's not mine. But you're getting this voice, and I know you've run a clean campaign, but I like to talk about the issues. All right, your opponent is a city council person, okay? She's been on the city council. What criticisms on the street have you heard about how she runs her job?
Well, Joe, I'm really not going to get, on the negative about her.
Absolutely.
I really don't want to be a negative person and run this campaign on the negativity. So,
however, what is wrong with this city that you find needs improvement?
I mean, what I believe that needs improvement from my streets, my
Absolutely.
area, and the precinct that
Yeah.
his job is, there's potholes everywhere. My house, I called the city several times about my water, the low pressure of my water. Nothing hasn't been done at all. There's gutters that's been backed up inside where I live at in the Annabelle area. Called the city, nothing.
Well, and I want to bring up something right now. I'll tell you that, you think, well, gutters that get clogged, big deal. That almost cost me my life. On June 1st, 2017, downtown Corpus Christi, I don't know if you were here, candidate Balderas, but cars were floating everywhere. And I almost drowned in my car because the water flooded up and rose so much. So the city, things that matter, people could have died because of that. And I hold the city responsible, and I hold the city council people responsible. I know you're running a great and clean campaign, but what makes you better than her to sit on that bench?
Joe, it's pretty simple. My experience, my qualifications, being in law enforcement for 13 years, being a peace officer, knowing the law, studying the law, all my extracurriculum hours that I had to do for T-close to maintain my certification as a state peace officer, that explains it all. You had to do all those hours, extracurriculum hours, just to keep up with your hour. My jobs with the courts, my experience, my bailiffing, knowing the system. As the deputy constable right now, we work conditionally with the JP courts, and that's predominantly with the JP courts. We had to work for the JP courts as a bailiff when they need provided security. We work when they need to serve papers. They call us, which is me, when the deputy constable, serve the papers.
Well, every time you put on that badge, every time you put on that gun, you've got a new baby at home. I mean, you don't know if you're going to get home that night, right?
That's correct. That's correct. Every day I put on that badge and gun, you know, I go kiss my baby, kiss my fiance. I tell them I love them. And you just never know what the things that are going on in today's world. We never know, but that's just what happens, and that's what I do to serve this community.
Well, I want to thank everybody. Everybody says those in blue, but those in brown too. Those people that are in the sheriff's department and those people in the rural areas, like your dad, that, I mean, 40 plus years, got out there and served the people. Because when you go out to the country areas, you're like CCPD exactly. You don't know what you're getting into. They may have firearms out there, domestic violence, DWI, out on a country road. You don't know if somebody has a warrant, and they may pull a gun out on a peace officer. So you've placed yourself in harm's way since 2004.
Yes, sir. When I'm out there on the streets, Joe, there's sometimes I call for backup, and we're out there in the county areas. It can take up to 15 to 20 minutes.
For backup.
For backup. That's the time response that we got to face. So anything that comes up to arise at the time of the moment, we had to handle it. We had to.
Calls for good judgment calls.
Oh, very, very good judgment calls. You had to be, you know, be good with these people, have the knowledge to see what could happen, what could not happen, but always think about what's going to happen. And always, when you get a call, know what's going to happen. Replay it over in your head before you get there. See what different scenarios to handle these type of situations.
The thing that bothers me a little bit, and I know you're running a clean campaign, and you're doing everything you can. You're living up to the values that your father and your mother taught you. But the thing that bothers me is that we have these, what I like to call perennial candidates. You've got people that say, well, I've run city council, done that gig. Now, hey, I think I'll run for judge, okay? What does being on city council have to do with anything with being with judge? How does that train you?
It has absolutely nothing to deal with the court system, nothing to deal with the law, nothing to deal of the judicial system at all. You need to know how the way the court system runs.
I mean, I'm concerned here because, I mean, you get, I'm a lawyer. I'm going to stand in front of your opponent. And, okay, I mean, you know the law, you know the court procedure. You've been out there. You've risked catching a bullet. You've served under judges. You've served those warrants. You've gone out and arrested people. You know the procedure. You know, and then, you know, what concerns me is some people that run for justice of the peace have absolutely no experience, and then we're having what we have, say, in Flower Bluff. A lot of people don't like that judge that's out there, and you know, the party affiliations. Let's talk about that. I mean, you're running in a Democratic primary, right?
Correct.
Okay, so Democrats are voting for you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But are you going to treat Democrats and Republicans any differently when they stand in front of you?
No, I will not. I will treat everybody with respect, and I'll be fair and impartial when it comes to the bench in my courtroom.
Well, let's talk about that. Your area has a lot of Republicans. Your area is a conservative area. And your dad ran on the Democratic ticket and has been there for how long? How many terms?
16 years, Joe. 16 years.
Okay, so I don't understand, with it being such a strong Republican area, why do the people keep voting your dad in? Why did they keep voting him in? Even though he is openly Democrat, he gets the votes of the Republican people too.
Joe, the work that he does in the office, outstanding. The service he does to the people, outstanding. Not just for in the office, to what he does for the community outside the office. He's out there helping different organizations, nonprofit charities, and helping them get what they need to be getting. If not, he helps them find a source. Hey, let's see if we can get this source to help out with this organization. That's what I want to continue to do. Live on the legacy that he's been doing in the past 16 years and 44 years of service with the county. So I want to continue his legacy.
I respect that. I respect that because you've done it on your own 2 feet. You're not riding on his coattails. You're not trying to do anything like that. You have your own experience. It's not like you've been at home playing Xbox and then decided, hey, my dad has been up there, I'll just step in. You've earned it after 14 years. You've been a correction officer. You've worked in the court system. You've worked with the judges. You understand the procedure. And let me tell you what I've learned, and a lot of lawyers, even lawyers don't know, is how important a justice of the peace is. It's not just about marrying people, ladies and gentlemen, out there at 2 a.m. The Honorable Judge Joe Benavides, let's use that as an example. He's signing warrants on women that are facing domestic violence, that their lives are in danger, that there are warrants for gangs and stuff. And wouldn't you be doing the same thing?
Yes, sir, Joe. I will be anytime. The office is not even 5 minutes away from where I live. So, and to sign these warrants, Joe, you had to have, as a peace officer, you had to come up with the probable cause to sign the warrant, to get the warrant for the judge signed. So you had to know what all the elements of the probable cause is. And I know that. I know it personally because I wrote up several warrants to submit to the judge, and there's not one that has been denied by a judge.
And you don't want to have somebody get off on a technicality and they're dangerous and they may go back and kill their spouse.
Correct, very much so.
And I've seen judges that may not have that type of experience, and then they're sitting up there and just thinking of some kooky things to do. I mean, some crazy things. And that's what worries and concerns me, is that Justice of the Peace is the only position in Texas where you don't have to be a lawyer, yet you can put on that robe and sit up there.
Yes, sir.
And man, I have gone up, and all due respect, have gone up there, and there have been some Justice of the Peaces that don't know what they're doing. No. And as a lawyer, I'm shocked that they are up there and they won because it was some sort of popularity contest. Now, going back to the partisan thing, what are you hearing from the Democrats? What sort of leadership do they want up there on that bench?
They want somebody who knows the job, who is good with the people, who is unbiased with the people, that they don't see nobody as their race, their ethnicity, their sexual background or any whatnot. They want to see somebody who knows the law, who will apply the law to the best of the ability that they have, that the law mandates them to do.
We're going to take a break, and we've got a couple of minutes. Dave, is it total 2 minutes or
no? Total. No, let's go to the break. So we can play this commercial and then go back to whatever you want to wrap it up with.
Okay, so we'll still have 12 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we've got a couple of minutes before the break, and I want you to know that I appreciate you being here. A lot of people don't take advantage of this program that's been on for 15 years nearly. Dave Mendes and I have been filming together for a long time, bringing on a lot of candidates, from congressional candidates to people running for city council. Now, and I'm not trying to be critical of your opponent. I'm not. I'm just trying to be as balanced as I can be. You're here. She's not. Okay. She's more than welcome. Nobody reached out from her camp. That's fine. So you get the benefit of that. But we've got a couple of minutes before we break. If you're knocking on a couple of thousand doors, because we reach several thousand people every night on TV, I want you, because you had the respect to come out on KTMB and the Lopez family and on my show, and looking at that camera, they're saying, okay, why should I vote for this young man opposed to a lady that's been on city council?
Well, I'm knocking. It's plain and simple. My experience, my credentials, my knowledge for the court system and the judicial system, it speaks for itself. You want a judge in this office who knows the system, who's worked with the system, who worked in the courts. You want a judge who follows the law every day, who enforces the law every day in that seat. You want a judge who's just not here just, running for the position just to, gain their career as a politician, just to go move on to different other, elected position spots. You want a judge that's going to stay there, who's going to help the community, help his precinct, and help the voters, and help the people, and not just the people, but everybody in the precinct and in the county for this office.
Well said. We're going to take a break, but I call it like I see it. And you've been watching and listening to Mr. Balderas, Deputy Sheriff Balderas, a correction officer who has been working in the court system already, has the experience, has risked catching a bullet every time he puts on that badge and that gun, and also now wants to progress to becoming your judge. He's got the experience, the training, the knowledge, and when we come back, we're going to talk about politics. We're talking about experience. We're going to talk about his experience on the streets. We're talking about, but now we're going to get into exactly what a justice of the peace does, what we expect of his performance when he's up there as Justice of the Peace, and what he wants to do to continue the legacy that has already been there, the Balderas name, but also what he wants to do to put his own personal spin, the programs he wants to initiate to save those children out there. I want to talk about truancy. I want to talk about domestic violence. I want to talk about the service that he wants to show you guys that he can do when we come back. And we're back after a brief break. We are interviewing your peace officer, Balderas, wanting to be the judge of Precinct 1, Place 3, and that is covering a wide area. Welcome back. How are you?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'm good. I'm great.
Okay, let's hear a little bit more, and I'm getting a little old in my age, hard of hearing here, but tell me a little bit about the area that your precinct covers.
So the precinct covers from Everhart all the way to Kylan, Joe.
Really?
All the way to, it's a big precinct, the biggest precinct here in Oasis County.
So people that are getting kicked out, or landlords that have people that don't want to pay their rent, you're going to hear it.
Correct.
Okay. Now, truancy, you don't do anymore, right?
Yeah, the legislative made that into a civil issue, so the school system has to pretty much handle that system.
But bullying, you have a vision for the anti-bullying campaign.
Bullying is a big issue, and that's what I want to focus on, bullying, because, bullying leads into truancy.
Well, sitting up there on the bench, when you are victorious and you become that judge up there on the bench, what do you plan on doing to handle the bullying? What can you do?
If I get elected, and when I get elected on March 6th, on March the 7th, I'm going to go talk to all school attendants in my precinct, in the local store, CCISD, TM, Callan ISD, West Oso ISD. I want to talk to them and see if we can come up with a program about bullying and see if we can make it in my office on, 2 times out of the week or 1 time out of the week, whatever is best preferred out of those CCISD or those school districts, and see if we can, have guest speakers and come out and address the issue about bullying.
What do you want to tell those parents out there that may have a child that's being bullied, that comes home that is being bullied on the internet, Snapchat, Instagram, or with fists?
See, I want them to have the knowledge of what's going on in the bullying and who they can contact, who they can, the resources that they can, that we can provide to them. I want them to know that they'll be eligible for resources to get the help that they need in addressing the situation of bullying.
What's the difference between you and your opponent, and in your opinion? And I mean, just throw it out there. I mean, we talked a little bit about it, but I mean, do you think that you have more passion and the drive and have what it takes to be the better judge?
Oh yeah, that, like I said, the experience, my knowledge, my credentials, it speaks for itself, Joe.
14 years out on the streets?
Yes, sir. 14 years of law enforcement. And not just that. I mean, I grew up in a family of law enforcement. My father, my uncles, my cousin. It's just law enforcement bleeds in my blood.
It's in your DNA.
It's in there. It's in there. And serving, public serving, that's just what the Balderas family does, Joe. And that's what I want to continue to do, is serve the community.
Yeah, I mean, I got to say it. This is not running for student high school council. You know what I'm saying?
No,
this is
not.
people's lives. And I don't get it. I don't get it why your opponent wants to run for this office if she's never had a gun, never been in a court. It's scary,
Yes, it is.
Kind of like game show hosts that become leaders of the free world.
Yes, it is.
We are at their mercy, and there's not much we can do about it. We got a few minutes left, so I want to focus in on other things that the JP Court does that people may not know. We talked about you at 2 a.m. signing warrants as a JP. You've talked about that you have even made warrants yourself. None of them have ever been struck down.
Correct.
We talked about truancy. What is your role for the administrative hearings?
Okay, my role for administrative hearings is to, to see if a license is going to get suspended or reinstated.
I understand. And that's a big responsibility. We've got a minute left. This time has flown by. Ladies and gentlemen out there, you know me. I have been here for a decade and a half on TV. God willing, I'm going to be here for another decade and a half. I'm not trying to favor any candidate. I'm not endorsing anybody here. But people have the chance to come out, and when they don't come out, that says a lot, because my viewers are the people out there at Walmart that are just trying to pay their rent, or they're just trying to get by. They're trying to feed their family. Most of my viewers, they make a humble living. They are hardcore, either Democrat or hardcore Republican, and they believe in this show. You had the respect to come out in the Lopez Family Show. You've got 30 seconds. You want to make your commercial. You have one right here. Tell the voters why they need to pull the lever for you.
You see, I was born and raised here in Nueces County all my life. I have a family of law enforcement experience. I am currently a law enforcement officer. Over 13 years of law enforcement. I have the education. I have the experience. I have the qualifications. I know what it takes to run the office. So with your vote and your support, I would respectfully and humbly ask to go out on March 6th or anytime during the early elections and vote for me for your next Justice of the Peace, Precinct 1, Place 3.
If they want to help you, what's the magic number to call? They want to help put up signs. They want to help you on election day. They want to help you on early voting. What is the magic number to call?
You can call me at 361-549-8323. Again, 361-549-8323. Anytime.
549-8323. Write it down, program it in your judge. Put it in your judge. Or put it in Judge Balderas. And that's 549-8323.
Correct.
Okay? Write it down because this is important. If they want to find out more about you on your website or on your Facebook link.
You can always find me on at Randy Balderas. I have, Randy Balderas on Facebook. So you can always personal message me there or contact me on my phone.
Well, I'm proud of you. And I'm proud of your dad. The Balderas family, to me, number one, perfect reputation in the community as public servants. Ladies and gentlemen out there, I'm not endorsing, but I'm close to it because all these politicians out there, let me tell you something. When I ask you to come on, and you don't come on, you're losing thousands of votes. You're losing thousands of potential people watching you, and that's your problem. If you don't win, oh well, c'est la vie. And this is one of the last interviews I'm doing before the early voting. And ese arroz ya se coció, as Joe Benavides' dad, Benny, used to say. So remember, on Election Day, Randy Balderas running for Precinct 1, Place 3. And don't forget, he's been a law enforcement officer for 14 years. He's been out on the streets. He's been in the courtroom and understands all the procedure of what's going on. He's the most qualified candidate, and he's not just running just to run. He's running because he really wants to serve. When you go in there and push that lever, think about Balderas, Balderas, and the magic number 549-8323. Get involved, 549-8323. Text him, call him, tell him you want to help. 549-8323, Balderas. And I stand with you, shoulder to shoulder, because I know you're going to make a heck of a judge. We're out of time. Thank you all, and God bless.